Hey, and welcome to I Can Fix That. In this episode, we learn to put up a cleat in your garage so you can be more organized. In a second, you're going to meet the professor, one of the most organized guys I know. Thanks for having me today. I heard I know when you move, you always have a system that you set up your garage to get organized. So thanks for letting me watch you put up. What are you going to do, actually?
Okay, folks, I've known Buddy for over 30 years, and I've bought probably more houses than anybody should, in garages, separate buildings, and so forth, and I'm always finding a way to hang up all my stuff, whether it's on walls, racks, or whatever. And I've got this house, I've only been here for a month or so, and I'm starting to do something. Buddy said, hey, I got a YouTube channel, I'd like to see what you're doing. So, as Norm Abram used to do on the old Yankee Workshop, I did one side of my garage already, just a kind of a little show and tell that I'll show you as I'm doing the other side. And the reason that this is split in two is because I have a window in the middle of one side, an electric panel on the other, because normally I put a 16-foot cleat on a long side of my garage and hang everything on one side, the hanging things, and then could have shelves and workbenches and so forth on the other. This particular case really was good for instruction, because the reason I like to put these 2x6 cleats up is that instead of having to find studs to hang things that maybe weight, a shovel, 3 or 4 beach chairs or whatever, one stud isn't going to work it to just put a bolt in to hang it. It doesn't work out. So that's why I've always put these cleats up. Then they're 1.5 inches, the entire length of whatever you want on a wall and height. And wherever you want to hang a beach chair, a shovel, a lawnmower, a pickaxe, a rake, whatever, you've got a spot to go anywhere you want, irregardless of the studs. Drill a hole, you got 1.5 inches, you can thread something in, and you're good to go.
You got that. First of all, you're calling that's called the cleat?
This is going to be a cleat that I'm
That's
going
what they
to
call
put
a
up
cleat.
On that wall.
It's just a piece of wood.
Just a piece of wood.
Okay.
Exactly.
I got to get that terminology. A lot of guys don't even know what a cleat is.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
that's what
that's
it is.
And you pre-painted these?
Yes, and I painted them so that they would match the wall, as you see, and kind of blend in.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise,
gotcha.
it starts to look a little like a hack job.
Yeah.
You know?
That would let the wood raw.
Right.
I like it.
Right.
So they're pre-painted, but that would be no problem. Put the coat on there. You got
Now,
your
you'll notice.
sawhorses. Why is that one thinner?
Okay, now this one here, because this particular wall, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a cleat up here, again, for some beach chairs extra and some other things that I'm going to hang here that have longer handles.
Okay.
But I'm also going to put this up, and this cleat here is going to go, and I'll show you because I have a line that I'm going to make up here and lay out. But this is going to go somewhere around up in here, like that.
And it looks like you already pre-cut it too.
Oh yeah, I've already done that. Yeah, it's pre-cut to the length.
Okay.
And to make it look a little bit better, also, is naturally on the end that's going to meet the window. I put a nice 45 bevel on that.
Oh yeah,
and only left the thickness of the trim on the window.
Right.
So that goes against the trim, and then you have a little just to,
Oh, I got you. So yeah, it'll match the trim. And
right. Goes up against the trim, then has that.
Yeah, I don't want to come over here and call it a hack job.
Yeah, just to make it a little bit more.
Okay.
Because this is going to go, and it doesn't have to be the full length. It's going to go here, but I always like to. I don't leave my hoses outside.
Okay.
Some of my hoses, if you can believe it or not, they're pure rubber. They're 30 years old and as supple as the day I bought them, because I don't leave them out in the UV.
Mine last about 6 months, and then I run them over to mower and buy new ones.
Right.
You got 30 years. That's unbelievable.
Yes, and the newer hoses, unless you buy commercial, they're junk. They're not full rubber and so forth. But I always attach hose hangers to the walls.
I see why you would need a cleat, because they got a ton of little holes in there.
And you only have one that would get a stud, because a stud is only 1.5 inches.
Right.
And now you're going to put those plastic tamps and think it's going to work, and it isn't long. That all hangs off.
I like it.
So this cleat will go on. That's 3/4 because all you need is a number 8 screw. And then these will be here because I happen to have a lot of hoses. I have a large property.
Yeah, sure. You like the water stuff out there.
And they'll go on the cleat and the hoses will hang down.
What are you watering out there?
What am I?
What are you watering out there? Oh, for your car, washing your cars, maybe.
Yes, wash my cars, and when I have the new sod laid down,
yes,
and so forth. So,
okay, I got you.
So that's what that's going to go on after I do this one. I've measured here, and because the floor is tapered for drainage, you don't measure from the floor up because you'd be crooked. You measure from the ceiling down to get a level line for when you put it up.
I gotcha.
Okay? So I've got an indication here, an indication over there.
You've already measured from the ceiling down.
Right, from the ceiling down on both of those. That's going to be the bottom of what I'm going to put up.
And that's your little pencil mark there.
Yep.
And then you got
and I've got one over here on the side.
All right.
What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a drywall screw in here and one over there. But I'll use the long 3-inch ones, and then because I'm doing this showing that you can do this by yourself. If you have somebody else, you don't need to do a lot of these little steps. And you don't want that to be more in further than the 1.5 inches or rest on the head and throw your level line off, okay? And that's, so right there and that one there, I'll put a screw, and that should be the same dimension as the other one down so that we're level. Let's see how close that hole is going to be. Okay.
One-man operation.
Now I'm going to take my pencil, and then see, I can take this down. What I'm doing is I'm going to make a level line now at the top of this to find where all the exact centers are. Then I'm going to take that dimension in 3 places and transpose it to here to pre-drill these holes in the wood, then put it back up and just hit the drywall for the smaller diameter screw that's going to hold the studs in. And then all the marking I do up here and where I try to find the center will be under this line I just made. Take this down.
Okay, so you got your line, you take that board down, and now you're going to do all your pre-drilling?
What I'm going to do is exactly right.
Okay.
There's going to be 2 bolts that go here.
Right.
2 bolts that'll go here. And 2 bolts that'll go here.
And those bolts look heavy duty.
Yes. These are 5/16 lag bolts. The 3/8 to me are just a little heavy, but all the parts that I screw into there are 3/8 because they're just going to go in 1.5 inches in the cleat.
Okay.
But that's up, and this is going to end up going, it's going to go through, as you'll see. This is going to go through the cleat, and then you've got a 1/2 inch of sheetrock, and you're going to have all of that into the stud.
I got you.
So you've got more than enough. This is all in these 2 places in there. Trust, there's no way this is going to shear.
Are you going to have to pre-drill that into the stud?
And I use a smaller diameter drill that is the threads are out here. And that's going to be the through hole that I'm going to put in here. And then if you went to the bottom of the thread on both sides, that's called the inside diameter of just the shaft without the threads. And I go just a little under that, make it a little smaller to make sure that as
that fits in there real tight.
That everything just cuts its way into that stud, and you can sink that washer. This washer will end up being sunk right in that piece of wood, as I really with the sockets. And now you got something. Now you can put all your other things on there.
Okay.
It's fabulous. Yep.
That's the key. Don't drill that hole too big.
So all I need now, right now, is I know already that one, because there is no stud close, that's going to be right there where the first two are going to go.
Sure.
That dimension. And now I'm going to go halfway or so where I know, and I think it's pretty much going to be that one.
Well, we already know it.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the center.
It's going to be plus or minus. These are just rough marks for me to tap my nails to find the left and right side.
Right, you get close. You get close, and then
close.
you're going to be the accurate.
When I do my little finish nail.
Your finish nail will definitely tell us.
Yeah,
where we're
and
at.
I haven't even done that over there yet. So now that makes fast work of that.
It has to pass the finish nail test.
Yep. And then I could take. I'm going to make a mark just above there. You'll see. So this one here, we knew that when I hit this, we went by. All right, so we know that's there, but we don't know. Remember, all of this won't be seen now, so I'm not going to make any more of the thickness. Okay.
That sounded like it hit it.
Yeah, that hit it, and if I just go a little more and angle it, I just went by it, okay? So if I go about 1.5 inches out, and that just... And that just went by it right there. And then it's going to hit. See? So this here, that went by it. This is just a little off. So my line that I'll use for measurement, I just do this. I'll just go, okay. I'm good here. I went good here. I'm a little over there. I can tell right now, that's going to put me, that went by, that's right in. That's going to be the number I'm going to use to lay that out.
We're transposing this numbers on the wall to the board. So it's 19 inches from the corner to there.
And what I do is, just because I don't have to waste time measuring,
right?
All right, I do this. This is another block of 1.5 inches that I have.
Right.
Same stuff. I just measured 19 inches. I lay this block flush on the outside edge.
Okay.
And then at 19, I make a mark right there. And then I lay this on the other side, and at 19, I make a mark. Now when I drill my through hole here, and my through hole here, and the next ones, they'll all be 1.5 inches up, 1.5 inches up, and they'll be, it just aesthetically looks good, but
okay.
You don't have to get
and that should be right on the stud.
That'll be right on that stud there, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's do it, then you do the other ones.
Yep. So I'm going to come 50 and a half. I made the mark, see? I don't even forget what I did. Because we know that 4 foot would come here 16 on center, and it's not there.
50 and a half, and you're going to go on this board 50 and a half and do the same thing.
I want to make sure the 50 and a half is exactly the center. I'll just take my nail.
You're going to give the nail test.
You see? See where that is?
Right.
If you use that and you board that and come, you got a good chance of that going by. Now you've already put your through holes in your 2x6, and you're in trouble in that spot.
So you gotta double check it. So it's off a little bit because the nail doesn't lie.
When they say 16 inches on center,
it's just a reference to get you close.
It should be pretty much the same all over, but it doesn't work out that way.
Okay, so we're moving over. I can tell that line's going to be a little different.
Yep.
And I want to see that nail go by.
There it is.
All right.
Okay, and this one over here, see, that went by. So that we're thinking was center, because it was 16, on that. Right. It's not. This is the real center over here.
Wow, and that's a good...
3/4, it's half the... That 1.5 inches is from there to there.
With that.
It would have never worked.
You got to make sure. You got to do the nail test.
You gotta check to make sure that the center. If you go through all that work, pre-drilling everything, and then you go up and go, no, we're 16 on center. I'll drill right in. You can see what could happen to it if you don't take the time. It saves you a lot of stress. This is just slightly larger OD, outside diameter of this. And this one is just probably a 1/16, a little bit, because I want to have just a little bit of play. If you make it too tight going in, then it doesn't quite, if you're off on your other hole, it's sometimes get, so this is just a little bit, and then this one will be the one after I drill these holes. I'm gonna put that back up. With that drill, I'm gonna just touch the sheetrock, and then this smaller drill, when I put it to the point, you can see that's the size below the threads. If you looked at just the shaft,
Right.
and that's what we want, so that the threads, they do all the cutting into the wood. And that's what gives us the strength.
Right. You don't want to have that big one go into the wood.
Or even if you had this a little bigger, they would be just cutting the threads. It wouldn't make that bite that you want. Okay. It's called tapping. You would tap into metal, you would tap into wood. Okay. And this is the tap drill size you'd use for these threads to tap it.
I got it.
Yep, okay.
You're using the bigger drill bit, as you showed me, to go through the board.
And I'm going to do this freehand. I don't have a drill press or whatever, so I'm going to try to get it as straight as I can, not this way, or whatever.
It's early yet. You haven't been drinking.
Right. But the key is why I like to put this up and use it for my template to then have just that point touch the sheetrock.
Right.
That then when I go with the smaller drill, if I should be a little bit of an angle, if I thought they were all straight in, they might not match. That's why if I am a little off, it'll make it up for it.
I got you.
By doing that. So this is simply, and I pull it up a little to clean the chips out of the drill so it doesn't overheat. And just don't push a lot down because then you'll splinter the back of the wood. Then you got to get that all off or it won't allow you to pull it in tight. There we go. You know, I bet I built these sawhorses 40 years ago, 50 years ago. That's how long. Because they've always been inside. I never left them outside. But you could tell. And I painted them a few years.
They got some weather on them.
Yep. Nobody would ever have stuff like this anymore.
Those sawhorse look like as old as when the series Mannix was out.
I know, exactly.
Barnaby Jones.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna.
So now that you got the holes drilled, you're throwing the board up there?
This is going to be my template to just touch the sheetrock, and then I'm going to take the smaller diameter with that little sheetrock punch and do a pre-drill in the stud so I can thread in the next ones.
Okay.
See, this is just my little mini. This is just going to go in.
It's just touching it so you see the sheetrock getting, I gotcha.
That's all that is.
I get it. And you do all 6 holes, obviously. I'd love to help you, but this is a one-man job.
That's right, exactly.
You can see what he did. He's barely drilled and just barely touched the sheetrock. Now he knows where to stick the other drill.
I don't want to put my chuck into the sheetrock, but I want to have it introduce enough, but then I want it just to go into the wood the last 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
Yep.
And the pre-drill is a must, right?
You'd never get that. You'd never get that to thread in on its own. I could put that through the sheet, make a hole only in the sheetrock. Start it with a hammer, going, and then go.
And destroy that stud.
Well, what happens sometimes on 5/16, it would happen more in 1/4. You could snap it off and then you go, oh shit, son of a bitch.
So what are you going to put those up with? You said
I'm
this
putting
socket?
them up with a 3/8 inch for leverage, not a 1/2 inch where you're way out.
You get too much torque?
And then you could just, once you spin these around once or twice,
it's over.
You're done now.
It's over.
You got to have some feel as to when it's really starting to tighten it up, and you just go a little more, and then it spins around once, and you go, oh man. This is coming back up for the last time.
All right.
I'll take one of these. The top guy first. And you people that love to take an electric driver, put a bit in it, okay, out there, and just take everything nowadays, oh, you'll be the ones that'll strip off 50%
So
of
you're
these and
better
go
to do it
back.
by hand.
You can feel your threads. You know you're in a hole. Listen to an old guy here. Every job I place, everywhere I go, everybody, the kitchen cabinets in my new house here, I open a couple of cabinet doors, they all fall off.
They strip them
Strip
out.
them all out, the doors are off.
Yeah, you can feel that. Yeah, I can hit.
See, I can,
Oh yeah, that's tough.
but notice my washer's loose, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm not going to.
You need a little slop until you get the whole family up.
I want to make sure if they need a little chink, the drill was off one way or the other.
Right.
So don't ever tighten anything all the way until you get them all in. Sinking the washer in. That's what I'm using for my guide as to how tight, because I could go tighter.
Okay.
But see, now that washer
Just
is
it.
just settled into that wood.
Right. And that's the perfect.
And that's why you'd want to use a washer, because if you just had your head, you'd be ripping the wood.
Oh, you'd be gouging.
You'd be making a mess.
Oh, yes.
But see, I know I'm there. This is, that's there, but I'm giving it now because
Okay. And you're going to do that on all of them.
Yep, on all of them. There we go. Reach, but that's still, for anybody, you put it on your go. And I'm going to have the second one
12 inches away.
12 inches away, and I put them right in the center.
Right.
All right? And then I hang them up because you got some piping that goes on. And then you use this, you have that hole drilled.
And you can use that as an auger.
And you use this, you start it a little bit like that, and then you use this as your handle
Yeah.
to roll it in there. And if you were going to put, like I did over there, shovels or brooms or whatever, you use one of these like this. And again, you select where you want it.
I noticed they're a little heavy duty. Is there different gauges on that stuff?
There is, definitely. You can, if you go to, you can get these at Harbor Freight, you can get them at Tractor Supply, you can get them at Home Depot, you can get them at Lowe's, you can get all types of them in all shapes and sizes. The 3/8 is the largest diameter in heavy duty I've seen. Then they go down to 5/16. They don't look much different, but then they go down to 1/4 inch. If you had the 1/4 inch and it came out, the 1/4 inch ones that come out like this to put beach chairs on, they're kind of like this once they're in there.
Chintzy?
You're talking about $1 difference between the 1/4 inch and the 3/8, and it doesn't make sense.
Go heavy duty.
But you can get, if you got a lot of light duty. Now I'm going to just tell you the other things too, that the beauty of having the cleat. I'm not going to do it, but I'll just show you. In between all those little spots, between shovels and things, I hang rulers, all of this kind of stuff.
Right.
And all I do is I drive a nail in on a slight angle. And in between all my things, I hang this stuff up, and I can always find it and so forth. And then over here, you take, for example, my 4-foot level. Well, I have some of these that I've bought that are attached. They're called a washer head hex lag bolt.
Right.
So that doesn't move off. So I put this in so it sticks out about that much.
Right.
And that when I put it through the hole on my level, it goes down.
And gets a bite on it.
I don't have to worry about the washer moved in, the washer moved back. It's attached to the head of this lag.
Okay.
And so again, I go in between here and over there, wherever I have stuff. That'll be up there, and I'll put this in, and it sits on the threads, and whenever I need it, I grab it and take it off.
I got you.
These are 16, these aren't 16 pennies, these are 20 pennies spikes.
Wow.
Okay, so you got, anytime that you've got something, you can take 2 of these, put them in a certain way, and you've got something different that you want to hang on there. All right? And then I've got these things that I use. These are
Once you got the cleat up there, it seems like you can do anything you want.
That's the purpose, that's the whole point of this video, really. You put a cleat up, a 1x6, I mean a 2x6, not a 1x6, but I'm using that for the hose because I don't need all this down
Right,
there.
right.
But then you can do whatever you want up there. Now these are almost impossible to find nowadays. Let's see, did I put any? Yeah, right. These
The little
here,
spring-loaded guys?
If you can find these, they're worth their mark in gold. This small screw, and you don't have to do any pre-drilling on this. This will start just with your Phillips screwdriver. And you'll see how that spring goes concave on there. As you tighten that in, it brings this down or leaves it open so that you can control how much tension. For example, I put one up to show you yesterday. Here's my rake. Watch what happens when I pull it off. It closes.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I just go up against it where I want it to go, push on it.
All right.
And if
I've heard of those rakes. That's what a rake looks like.
yeah, see? So that way, in between all these spots,
I see what you're saying.
you can do whatever you want with it.
Love it.